Hello, my most beautiful besties in the entire world. For today's video, I am so excited because I'm going to tell you guys the top 25 palettes that remind me of Christmas and the winter season all month long. So grab a snack, grab a drink, besties, because we're about to dive into some festive palettes. Alrighty guys, so I started this series, I want to say like in 2020, 2021. All I know is when I first started this series, I only had 10 palettes. Then it evolved to like 37 to like 40 palettes. And now we're actually downgrading it to 25 palettes. Now I watched my video back last year. I have an excessive amount of palettes that I thought reminded me of winter and Christmas season. And I was like, you know what? I really need to start narrowing it down to really kind of specify why and what palette reminds me of Christmas and or the winter holiday season. So I have 25 palettes sitting right in front of me, and we're going to go ahead and dive into number 25. So up first, we do have the Inslee Rain Hoppy Go Lucky palette. Now first off, the outside packaging is a beautiful whimsical woodland creature. It is a bunny, and typically when you think of whimsical and you think of Christmas, you do think of like nice woodland creatures. Like you'll see deers, bunnies, rabbits, foxes, maybe some skunks. You'll see bears, polar bears, penguins. You'll see all these beautiful like creatures that are usually showing in wolves, usually shown off during the winter season. A lot of times they'll be decked out like covered in snow, or they'll have like little like scarves around them. It always shows them somehow like in an ice skating area, or like just decked out in snow. And that's kind of like the vibe I got from this. Now the reason why it is so low on the list is not because it's not a good palette. It's just because the colors are on the inside. Well, she's not really Christmassy on the inside. She's springy. She's springy on the inside. This is what I see. I see spring palette. But the reason why I wanted to feature today is because I kind of got the vibe that this was Inslee's Rain idea of doing like a Christmas-esque palette, at least with the woodland creatures. I could be completely off base here, and this could just be a series that they are doing, but woodland creatures, especially like whimsical one, always reminds me of Christmas, especially because, well, I like South Park, and I love playing the South Park games, and they always feature the woodland creatures that are like demonic, essentially, but they look so nice and cute and angelic, and then they kill you with their eyes. But that's beside the point, besties. We're just gonna ignore that factor. But they do have like little Christmas animals, and that's what I kind of got the vibe of this. So even though it's not Christmas in that sense, the outside packaging does remind me of like little woodland creatures. So that's why it's gonna be featured in number 25, really down below the list, but still a beautiful palette nonetheless. In at number 24, obviously this whole month of December people focus on Christmas. It's the biggest holiday, but there's also New Year's at the end of the year too. I really do enjoy New Year's. More often than not, I've always worked New Year's. I've never really gone out. Sometimes I have. I think the best one I did was a couple years ago. I went to the Edison, and they had like a 1920s roaring theme, a 1920s like flapper era flapper New Year's Eve party. That was so much fun. And whenever you think of New Year's, you think of gold. Gold is always highly like represented for New Year's. So coming in number 24, I have the Huda Beauty Empowered palette. Now this can also be used for the holiday season, not just for New Year's, but it could also be used for the Christmas season as well as the fall season. But it's those golds in here that really kind of stand out and make me want to do beautiful gold inspired like New Year's Eve looks. Now I actually used this palette when I went to the New Year's Eve party. I actually used this particular palette. I used the gold right here with the browns. Super pretty. I definitely don't think I fit like the flapper era makeup wise, but I had the best time anyway. It was a lot of fun, and it just, when I see this palette, I do think of New Year's Eve. So it does kind of remind me of like a winter holiday palette. So coming in number 24, we do have the Huda Beauty Empowered palette. Coming in number 23, sticking to the theme of New Year's Eve, we have the Good as Gold palette from ColourPop. Now this came out in 2020, like literally January of 2020. I remember we had Kaya. I remember I wore this palette. I did a little review right when I hit around 20,000 subscribers. So I really have like a soft little spot for this particular palette. But when you look at it, it's literally all gold. It's all gold. There's going to be some press. There's going to be a pressed glitter in here. The rest are all shimmers. But this is like a great New Year's Eve palette. Now, granted, it doesn't say it's New Year's Eve, but I look at it going 1000%. I think ColourPop even launched this, like I said, around that time of New Year's Eve. But it's really beautiful. It just makes me want to celebrate New Year's Eve and go, how's the song go? reminds me of. I don't know the lyrics. Could not tell you the lyrics to my life, but I know they played that song the second that the ball drops. That is the song that comes on, unless you're watching the Times Square, New Year's Eve ball drop, and they play the New York song, but typically they do play like that song. I don't know what it's called, but either way, it's the song of New Year's. That's all I know. And I always think of gold during New Year's, so this is definitely a great representation of that. So coming number 3, we do the ColourPop good as Gold palette. And to wrap up the New Year's palette celebration, we do have the Natasha Denona. This is going to be the golden palette right here. Now, of course, I had to include this because this is legit an all golden eyeshadow palette. Now, this is going to be a great palette to wear all winter long, because if you don't want to do like a New Year's Eve look, you could do something like this. It's very easy. Now, granted, I did not use this palette. I actually just used the Pack Tau Duo and typed it and patted on my eyes. I want to get a use out of those freaking babies since they're $40 a piece. I want to get a use out of it. But I feel like this is like a great palette to use for the New Year's. And not just New Year's. Like I said, you guys can use this for Christmas as well, because people love a lot of gold looks for Christmas, like kind of like what I'm wearing. And people also love to wear this during the fall season. So I thought it was a really universal palette. So it's why it's ranked a little higher than the others. So coming in at number 22, we do have the Natasha Denona Golden Palette. Coming in at number 21. Now, the reason why this palette is a little bit further down on the list is particularly just the color story for me, but it's still going to be a Christmas themed palette because it's essentially meant to be a Christmas themed palette. But that is the Huda Beauty Naughty Palette. Now, this palette right here came out Christmas time, I think in like 2020. I want to say like in 2020. I could be wrong. Oh, yeah, because remember they had that COVID shade right here that everybody was like, oh my God, they put COVID in the palette. And I was like, what? They did. Now, this is supposed to be a somewhat Christmas themed palette. Like the outside is naughty. It came out for Christmas, but they don't really have names in here that really scream Christmas. But the color story can have some Christmas-esque feels. You're gonna have those purples, those golds, and those pinks that you can definitely use all winter long. And I just love the fact that it just reminds me of Christmas because it does say naughty, and I always think of naughty or nice when it comes to like Santa Claus. I've always been on the nice list, but maybe sometimes I want to be on the naughty list. Anyway, it's just a cute palette. It's a really cute palette. You could definitely use this again for the Christmas season, the winter season, and or New Year's as well. So coming in number 21, we do have the Naughty palette from Huda Beauty. Coming in at number 20, we have the Inslee Rain Cosmetics. This is the Nutty by Nature. Again, this is another one of those like whimsical woodland creature palettes. Now, the reason why this is featured a little bit lower on the list and not as high is because the color story itself does not scream fall. It does not scream winter, but it does scream fall. Like there is some fall elements to this, so you can use this up until I think the beginning of December. You probably could use this a little bit for like New Year's Eve, but for me personally, I think it's just more of like the woodland creature aspect as to why I wanted to rank it in my winter collection, because the fact that I do think of this as like a Christmas character, and the fact that this does kind of remind me of fall. This kind of reminds me of like Thanksgiving. Like I get like a Thanksgiving vibe. So this could like be like a pre-Christmas palette. Super beautiful. You can still use a lot of these colors. Like this color right here is absolutely gorgeous for the winter season. You guys compared these together, and I just thought it was really, really cute. So coming in number 20, we do have the Nutty by Nature palette from Inslee Rain Cosmetic. So coming in number 19, when I think of the Christmas season, I also think of winter. I know that I live here in Florida, so winter is just not a thing. It just doesn't really exist here. Although lately we've been having some winter weather. Like guys, right now the high is 65, the low is 42. Let's just say we're really excited around here because we know that this is going to go away within a couple of days. So we're embracing every second of it that we can. But I do love to have a good like Christmas. I've got to experience white Christmases before because my family's from West Virginia. I used to travel up there as a kid and we used to see snow. I absolutely loved having a white Christmas. So whenever I think of Christmas, I do think of like snow. So that means I think of like gray, blue, pinks, silver, white. Like I do think of those beautiful colors. So that is why at number 19, I did include the Makeup by Mario. This is the Ethereal Moonlight palette because this is going to be a cool tone, smoky palette, and it's going to have those beautiful like deep blues in here with grays and a little bit of golds and silver that you can definitely use all month long to create really beautiful everyday eye looks, or you want to do like smoky eye looks, you want to do like, wintry eye looks. This is going to be a really beautiful palette for that. I love the formula in here. Again, you could also use this for like the New Year's Eve season as well if you guys wish to do so, but I just think overall It's a very gorgeous palette, and when I think of this, I think of winter. Like, I think of winter. I think of just being next to snow, hot chocolate in my hand, curled up with a little blanket, reading a book. Like, that's the kind of vibe I get with this right here. So, coming in at number 19, we do have the Makeup by Mario Ethereal in Moonlight palette. Coming at number 18, we do have the Huda Beauty. This is going to be the Icy Nude palette. Now, when you look at this palette, you can definitely see winter vibes with this palette. It screams winter. It's a cool tone, neutral eyeshadow palette. And I love the fact that you can use this all month long to create really beautiful, easy, everyday Christmas looks, or you can use this for like every day. You can use it for like New Year's Eve, or you could just use it for like a nice cozy winter vibe. This is supposed to be a cozy palette. It definitely has those cozy vibes. A little bit more on the basic side in my personal opinion for like Huda Beauty palettes, but I will say it's really beautiful. You're going to have those light, icy pinks, silver, gold with a lot of beautiful like neutral shades to complement it, and I just think it's really nice. A little bit of grace in here, and it just fits the vibe of like an icy like snow lodge. Like, it's like an icy snow lodge with this right here. You just think of like winter, and that is why coming at number 18, we do have the Icy Nude palette from Huda Beauty. Coming in at number 17, we do have the Odin Eyes. This is the Rosy Jingle palette. Now, this recently just launched this past year, and this was a continuation to the Odin Eye Cosmetics Christmas collection. For the last 3 years, they've been launching Christmas palettes, and I think it's absolutely phenomenal because they make really fun Christmas palettes. But when I saw this, I didn't necessarily see Christmas with this. I saw more spring, so that's why it's lower on the list. We have the outside packaging. You have a beautiful golden bow with a pink bow wrapped around it. Definitely nice little Christmas vibes. And then you open the color story on the inside. To me, the color story definitely screams more spring than it does Christmas. I just get a lot of spring vibes with this. I get like spring coming out of the winter season when things are slowly starting to bloom. That is the vibe that I get with this. You have a lot of pastel shades in here, pastel pinks, purples, a little bit of oranges, browns, and you have some beautiful golds in here. But the names definitely have beautiful Christmas-esque vibes to it. It has like New Year wishes, so you can use this for like New Year's Eve time. And just a lot of like Christmas themes to it, but I just don't see the color story. The color story just doesn't resonate with me when it comes to Christmas. The only reason why it's going to be ranked in this palette and ranked in this video because it is part of their Christmas collection is supposed to be something a little bit unique, a different take on how they view Christmas, which I love seeing different perspectives. I know some of my friends really, really love this palette. I love the Alex that created this palette, don't get me wrong, but to me, I just didn't get the Christmas vibes with this. So that is why at number 17, we do have the Rosy and Jingle palette from Odin Eyes Cosmetic. All right, so coming in at number 16, we do have the Fantasy Cosmetica. This is going to be the Cradle and Ice palette. This is one of my favorite palettes that they have ever launched. It's one of my true favorites from them, besides the Harvest and Souls. And I love the color story in here. The color story in here reminds me just so much of winter. You're going to have those beautiful like icy blues, those beautiful icy lavenders, pinks, purples, deep blues, and a little bit of deep purple and like deep purple brown. For some reason, I just get winter. I just get like snow vibes with this, like an icy frozen snow palette. That's what I see. Even though this is definitely meant to be like a dragon palette, I get like a nice winter dragon. I get a winter dragon palette with this right here. So it's why I do love this so much during the winter season, because it just gives off winter vibes. Gives off true winter vibes. So coming in number 16, we do have the Cradle and Ice palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. This is one of my favorites. I freaking love it. Number 15, this one's definitely kind of far out there because the outside packaging does not scream Christmas whatsoever, but I will say the color story absolutely screams winter. So coming in number 15, we do have the Lands of Enchantment palette from Inslee Rain Cosmetics. This is actually the first palette I ever got from them. I bought it myself and I finally was able to review it. Had so much fun. But when I see this palette, I think of like Aurora Borealis, like, right? I think of the Northern Lights. I think of being up in like Iceland, enjoying their hot springs. You could sit there and you can just watch like the Northern Lights, and you could just go in their like famous like, hot springs. I've always wanted to do that. It's a big bucket list of mine. And I just get that vibe from this palette. I just get nice, beautiful winter season with Aurora Borealis going over you. You're covered, your whole area is covered in ice crystal snow, untouched, freshly fallen. You have a fireplace, you know, in the background. You can hear it crackling. You have nice hot chocolate in your hand, and you're just looking at the Aurora Borealis, just staring at it and just going, wow. Like, earth can be so beautiful. That's what I see when I play, when I see, that's what I see that's what I envision when I look at this palette right here. So that's why like I do associate this with winter, because this particular palette is something I'd pull out for the winter season to create beautiful icy blue, icy lavender, icy pink vibes for the winter season. So coming in at number 15, we do have the Lands of Enchantment palette from Inslee Rain Cosmetics. Coming in at number 14, we have another Inslee Rain Cosmetics palette. I'm not trying to make this an Inslee Rain video, I swear to God, but this is the What the Fox palette. If you guys did not see, I recently just reviewed this palette, and so many of you guys were asking me what I was wearing my eyes at this past week when I did my new makeup releases. It was this, because this palette is beautiful. This definitely reminds me of winter. You're gonna have that beautiful cool tone like blue, cool tone green. You're gonna have like an icy white green shimmer. You're gonna have a green red shimmer right here, a beautiful like white off yellowish color, and then a nice warm chocolate brown. Like that definitely screams winter vibes to me. I love the eye look that I created when I wore this. It definitely gave off winter vibes, and I just thought it was so pretty, such a fun palette. And again, it does have those beautiful woodland whimsical creatures that I see during the winter season. So coming in at number 14, we have the What the Fox palette. Coming in at number 13, like I said, this is not an Inslee Rain video, I promise, but coming in at number 13, we have the Light in Your Eyes palette from Inslee Rain. Now ignore the front packaging. The front packaging does not scream winter, Christmas whatsoever, but it's the inside color story. This inside color story is beautiful. This is going to be a cool tone, neutral palette with muted colors in here. I see winter when I look at this palette. You're going to have all those beautiful cool tones. And cool tones I always associate with winter to begin with, just because it's so nice and cool. A lot of people use a lot of cool tones during this season, but it's just this beautiful aesthetics to it. You're going to have those amazing icy silvers, icy lavenders, icy pinks, icy greens, icy champagne, icy blues. Like there's so many different icy vibes to this palette. And then you're going to have those cool tone purples, blue, pinks, and greens that I just kind of, again, associate with like the winter season. I think this is going to be their biggest seller right here, just because it can cater to so many people out there who love more of a neutral vibe, but still want some pops of colors. This is going to be that palette for you. I just think it's so beautiful, and I just definitely think of winter when I look at this palette. Like I get so inspired to just create icy looks all the time with this. So coming in number 13, we do have the Light in Your Eyes palette from Inslee Rain Cosmetics. Coming in at number 12, we have the ColourPop Aurora Struck palette. Now this came out, I want to say 2 years ago during Christmas, and this to me is everything I want in like a winter palette. First off, I love the outside packaging. It's so beautiful. It has the Aurora Borealis on it. I am, like I said, dying to see the Northern Lights, but I really also want to see their Southern Lights. But I feel like people don't show off the Southern Lights enough, and the Southern Lights are so gorgeous. They're going to be a mix of colors between pink, orange, yellow, and green. They're absolutely stunning, and they're only featured in the southern hemisphere. I know, like, I think you can see them a lot in like the Australian outback and stuff like that. Always wanted to see the Southern Lights. They're so gorgeous, but the Northern Lights are just as breathtaking. And there are parts of the United States that have been lucky this past year to see the Northern Lights. I myself am so far down in Florida that is just never gonna happen for us. It would be so weird if it did. I think a lot of us would be like, what is happening? Something like that were to happen. But for me, I just want to see it in person. So this is how the palette looks. Tell me this is not beautiful. This is a beautiful icy cool tone palette. You're going to have those icy lavenders, icy pinks, baby blues, grays, like cool tone minty greens, you know, icy baby blues. Like they're so beautiful. Okay, wait, that was my Amazon driver. So Alyssa and I, my best friend, we started a tradition last year and we're keeping up this year. For the first 12 days of December, we are sending each other a book from our Amazon wish list. Like I have an Amazon wish list. She has the Amazon wish list. We have like 50 books on there, and we just pick a random book and send it to each other every single day for the first 12 days. So we don't know what we're going to get. We don't look at our list. It's always a complete surprise. So I just got my book in the mail right now. Completely unexpected. So I'm going to kind of start over because I don't know what I said, but I was saying that when I look at this, I just get so inspired because it is literally the Aurora Borealis. It is so beautiful. It's so icy. It's so cool tone, and it just gives me the winter vibes. It gives me fresh fallen snow, and I just love everything about this palette. I think it's so beautiful, and I think it's perfect for the winter season all month long, and even into January, because a lot of you guys have winter seasons up until like February, I think. Not us down here, but I know you guys up north do. So like you can utilize this any anytime. So coming in at number 12, we do have the Aurora palette from ColourPop. Coming in at number 11, we do have the Odin Eye Cosmetics Hey Reindeer palette. Y'all, the outside packaging this palette is so beautiful. It is definitely a Christmas vibe palette. I love everything about the outside packaging, this beautiful whimsical woodland creature, and just the vibes of it. The color story on the inside though, it is pretty, but it doesn't fully scream Christmas. Again, it kind of screams more spring like palette, maybe summer-esque palette. I don't necessarily get the Christmas vibes with this palette. Yes, the names on the inside do correlate with Christmas and winter. You have like reindeer, sleigh, greetings, eggnog, ivy, candy cane, like you have fireplace, like stuff like that. That definitely does have a Christmas vibe, so that's why it's a lot higher in the list. But the color story itself to me was definitely very underwhelming because I don't necessarily see Christmas. I don't really see New Year's. I see some maybe winter aspects of it, but not fully. I just get more of like a spring, summertime palette. But I do think it's really cute, but it definitely has a lot more Christmas elements and winter elements than other palettes. So that is why at number 11, we do have the Hey Reindeer palette from Odin Eye Cosmetics. Hey, wait guys, I got these nails from Target. These are like the Kiss Impression press-on nails. They're super cute, but normally the nails that I get always have no glue needed. So they're always like sticky. And then I add the maximum strength glue to go with it and makes my nails last for as long as I want them to. This time, that I didn't get that for this. This is just straight up like unique glue. These are not wanting to stay on. I am struggling to keep them on. They're not the easiest to work with. They're super cute. They're almond shape. I don't really like almond shape and they're pointy, but I wanted to try little pinky snow vibes with like candy cane and like gingerbread man. I thought that was super cute, but she's not wanting to work with me. So this last time we're going to get this type. So anyway, now we're going to move on to the top 10 Christmas/winter vibes palette. So coming in at number 10, we do have the Odin Eye Cosmetics. This is the Silvery Bliss palette. This is the newest Christmas palette they launched this past year. And again, you're going to have that nice golden bell with a nice red ribbon. This is definitely a beautiful Christmas-esque palette. You look at the color story on the inside and you can definitely see Christmas with this palette. You're going to see lots of reds, golds, browns, and a little bit of greens. I did have fun with this palette. Definitely not my favorite eye look that I've done. Not my favorite Odin Eye Christmas palette, but I did think it did fit the vibes of Christmas. A little bit different. They use a lot more reds than I expected, but you can totally see it. The shade names all scream Christmas. The color story screams Christmas, and I just thought it was a really cute, aesthetically pleasing palette. Perfect for this season. I hope that they continue to bring out these palettes every single year, but really, really cute. I think it does kind of fit the vibe. So that is why coming in at number 10, we do have the Silvery Bliss palette from Odin Eye Cosmetics. Coming in at number 9, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is going to be the Snow Lodge palette. I envy those who get to travel to like Aspen or Colorado during the winter season because they go there to snow, stay in ski lodges, and I'm always like, what's that like? What's that like? Tell me about it. I want to know. For those of you who live in a very snowy area and you go, sledding or skiing or snowboarding, what's it like? Okay, I want to live vicariously through you. So coming number 9, we do have the Snow Lodge palette from Nomad Cosmetics. The color story in here definitely screams winter and Christmas. You're going to have the blues, the reds, the greens, and the golds. What more can you ask for when it comes to a winter/Christmas vibe palette? Not to mention all the shade names in here definitely do correlate with the winter season. I know they're basing this off of like a area, the Whistler Snow Lodge. I don't know where that's at. I did enjoy the eye look that I created when I played this palette, and the formula has definitely improved over the years, but just a really cute, really fun snow festive palette. I really enjoy playing with this, and I really just get like a nice ski lodge vibe with this, and that just always reminds me of winter. So coming in at number 9, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics Snow Lodge palette. Coming in at number 8, we do have the Polar Express palette from Nomad Cosmetics. Now, believe it or not, I have never seen this movie. I know, I've never seen it. Some of you guys told me to actually watch this movie when I did my little review of this palette. Some of you guys said I should actually like watch this movie, and I was like, okay. I still haven't, but I know I need to. I think it's like they're celebrating like their 25 years. I just haven't been able to, but I really did enjoy playing with this palette. I thought it was super, super cute playing with this palette. Nice little icy white Christmas vibes. In here, you're going to get snow, you're going to get ice, you're going to get Polar Express, you're going to get hot choco, oh my God, hot chocolate. You're going to get Santa helpers, Christmas carols. You're going to get cool little fun festive vibes. Now, Polar Express is supposed to be, I think about the North Pole. I think. I could be wrong. I guess I've never done it, but I do know there's actually a place in Oregon. I could be wrong because my friend lives there. That actually they have like a Polar Express like train that you can ride, and like they give you like stuff, and it's like the Polar Express. You get like your ticket and everything. And I heard it was a really cool experience. They don't do anything like that here, but it'd be kind of cool if they did. But yeah, I just definitely see Christmas when I look at this, because when you think of, you know, Christmas, you do think of Christmas movies, and one of the iconic movies that have come out so long ago was the Polar Express one that I didn't see, but at some point I will. So coming in number 8, we do have the Polar Express palette from Nomad Cosmetics. Coming in at number 7, we have Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Anyway, this is one of my favorite little Christmas collections that ColourPop came out with years ago. And I really wish they would kind of do stuff like this again, because it was so cute. So of course we have to feature in our top like 7 palettes, because this screams Christmas. When you think of like, you know, Christmas, you think of Santa, you think of the 9 reindeers, and you think of little Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So this is going to be the color story right here. Definitely more of an older style Christmas palette. I feel like ColourPop can definitely do a better version of this now if they were to redo this years later. I still think it's super cute. You are going to have those cool tone muted colors that definitely represent Christmas between the browns, the reds, the grays, silvers, and the greens. You can definitely get the Christmas vibes in this palette. Plus the names in here definitely do scream everything and anything to do with Christmas. I thought it was such a cute palette. I remember I wore a little Santa hat. I had hot chocolate in that video. Oh, I loved everything about it. It really got me into the Christmas spirit. And this one still does that for me. So coming in number 7, we have Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I love this palette. Alrighty, so coming in at number 6, this is where the ranking started to get really hard for me, but you're going to see pretty much the same brand repeated over and over again, because these are the only brands that kind of catered to the winter and Christmas season. So that's why they're going to be repeat of these palettes. But I had a really hard time kind of narrowing them down, but I did have to narrow them down, but I still love them each on their own. So coming in number 6, we do have Gourmand Girls Frozen Kiss palette. Now, if you guys did not see, I recently just reviewed this past week. I love this palette. I thought it was perfect for this season. It really kind of matches the vibe of my background. I got so into this palette, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. You were going to get the beautiful winter vibes of this. Not necessarily Christmas, but for sure you would get winter. And to me, I just feel like because I'm kind of really into the rose, the pink, the white, the silver like aspects for Christmas, I still view this as Christmas, because that's my background. Like that's my background right here. It's all like white, pink, and gold aesthetics. I think they're so beautiful. I love the aesthetics throughout my house. Even though my tree is more of red, green, gold, I still like having this. I just think it's so beautiful and so aesthetically pleasing to the eye. And so that's kind of what I got the vibe of this palette right here. Formula is beautiful. Color story is beautiful. You definitely have those really nice like names that remind you of winter, and you had the cool tone shades in here with little bit of pops of warmth with this beautiful icy duochromes and multichromes. So this was definitely hard for me to narrow it down, but I thought this was beautiful. So coming in at number 6, we do the Frozen Kisses palette from Gourmand Girls. Coming in at number 5, we do have the Odin Eyes Cosmetics Snow Dream palette. First off, the packaging, that little snowman, oh my god. Kind of reminds me of Olaf. Some people are worth melting for. When he said that, and I saw him in theaters, I literally out of nowhere did not expect it. It just, you know, came out of my body. I went, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I was so embarrassed because I did not expect Olaf to give that one little liner, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, some people are worth melting for. It's so freaking sweet. That made me cry. That one burst me out in tears in theaters. You know what that one did? Freaking Bing Bong. And like the freaking Inside Out Bing Bong in the first movie. And when he's like, take Riley to the moon for me, and like he disappeared. Stop. I literally was sobbing. I was so devastated by that scene. But then the end, when everybody else is crying at Riley, her telling her parents she wants to go home and she misses home, everybody else is sobbing. I'm over here dry-eyed going, this isn't even sad. Like, I didn't get the sadness of it. But Bing Bong disappearing, oh, that was so devastating to me. So anyway, I kind of rambled. So coming in number 5, we do have the Snow Dream palette from Odin Eye Cosmetics. This is going to be a beautiful rendition of like a pastel Christmas palette. You're going to have those beautiful muted cool tone shades, cool tone greens, cool tone reds, cool tone golds with a little bit like icy blues and purples mixed in with a little bit of browns, like to add some extra warmth. I thought this was really beautiful. I thought this was the best palette they created last year when it came to their Christmas collection. I love the color story of this. I love the names in here. It definitely gets more of like a snow day vibe than it does a Christmas vibe, but it does have those beautiful esque shades to it that I think are so gorgeous. And I think Odin did a really good job with this palette. I fell in love with it so much, and I thought it was a really beautiful Christmas aesthetic. So coming number 5, we do the Snow Dream palette from Oden Eye Cosmetics. Coming in at number 4, we do have Silent Night. What's so funny is that I sit in a 3-person office, and I have my amazing friend. She's also my coworker. Her name is Ashley. I freaking love her. I sing to her Christmas carols nonstop. And we have way too much fun with it because she says I should go caroling to she said I should go caroling around like my area and go to like my managers or the guests and just start caroling to them. Don't tempt me for a good time because I don't have a voice, but oh, do I love to sing Christmas carols. And Silent Night is one of my favorites. So here's a Silent Night palette from Gourmand Girls. This palette is so freaking beautiful. This definitely reminds me of Christmas. It also kind of reminds me of Hanukkah a little bit because if I'm wrong, because don't get me wrong, I think isn't Hanukkah kind of like white, blue, yellow, and like gold? It's not like the Hanukkah colors, and that kind of reminds me of this. And Hanukkah is celebrated in the month of December. I think it's celebrated like a couple days prior to Christmas, and I just kind of get like the beautiful like Christmas vibes. This reminds me so much of the Christmas Eve palette from Oden Eye Cosmetics. I love the color story in here. I love the deep navy blues, the blacks, the grays, the silvers, the golds. It's so pretty. It's definitely used again for like the New Year's Eve time, but it just has that nice little winter-esque moment. The names in here definitely scream Christmas as well. I think it's just such a beautiful palette. It reminds me just a lot of like Christmas Eve and winter, and I just really, really fell in love with this when I played with this. So coming number 4, we do have the Silent Night palette from Gourmand Girls. Coming in at number 3, this palette got pushed out of its number 1 spot last year, and there's a reason why. But coming number 3, we do have the Merry Christmas palette from Oden Eyes. Of course, this has been the top 3. It literally says Merry Christmas. It is a Merry Christmas palette. So when you look at the color story, this is the traditional like Christmas colors. You're gonna have those beautiful red, green, gold shades in here that definitely scream Christmas. They're gonna have them nice Christmas names in here as well, and I just love this palette so much. I love the look I created this palette. I thought it was the perfect Christmas palette, and it is. This does remind me of Christmas Day. This reminds me of getting up in the morning, celebrating Christmas with my husband, and then just kind of relaxing all day before we head over to like Alyssa's house or my parents' house. We head over to one of our friends' houses and we just kind of celebrate the evening with our friends. That's kind of the vibe that I get whenever I look at this palette, and while I really do love it so much, I think it's a perfect Christmas palette, there are 2 more that I just kind of like hit a little bit more closer to home for me. Maybe it's just because I'm 35 now. Maybe it's because I've gone through so much shit this last year that I'm just having more of a nostalgic vibe and just really appreciating what I had, that like it's harder for me to put this at number 1 for different, it's hard for me to put this on number 1, which I'll get to in just a minute. But coming number 3, we do have the Merry Christmas palette from Oden Eye Cosmetics. Coming in at number 2, we do have the Christmas Eve palette from Oden Eye Cosmetics. Now, my whole life, I have only celebrated Christmas Eve. Like Christmas Eve was a celebration that my family did since I was a baby, and we used to go up to West Virginia every single Christmas, and then we did stop when my grandmother passed away. We stopped going up there, but I always celebrated Christmas Eve. That's when we got together. We had a big feast, a big dinner. There'd be some Christmas parties that would be happening with my extended family, and then afterwards we'd open up all the presents. They used to make, the youngest go first and then the oldest. Not meaning to get emotional, I just really miss those days. Like, I miss my old nostalgic Christmas feel, and I know that my mom does too. It was just a great time for the whole family to get together, and they would always have me open up all my gifts first. It was like a tradition where the kids went first, so the youngest first to the oldest, and everybody had to open up one present at a time so we could sit there and stare at it. They would laugh for hours and hours and hours. Drinks were being shared, cigarettes and cigars were being smoked. It was such a beautiful time. I absolutely loved it. Snow would always fall. I was always sent to bed early because I was just a young child, but like I loved that. That to me was always my favorite time, was going up to West Virginia and seeing my extended family and just being with them. And it definitely has changed over the years. So my grandmother passed, and now we used to celebrate Christmas Eve with my parents. And so my parents would, still host it. Me and my sister would come over with my nephew and Corey, and then my sister and my nephew moved away. And so now it's just me and my parents. And as much as I love it, it just doesn't have like that same feel that I once had. And so I'm very, very, very nostalgic, and I miss it so much. And this year I have to work. This year my husband has to work, so we're actually celebrating on Christmas Day, which is completely fine, but it just really makes me like miss that day. So I cherish Christmas Eve still, And this is that palette that represents it to me. This reminds me of my childhood. This reminds me of sitting outside, making what I could of snow angels, building little snowman. My grandfather would help me do it. He would, help me put together a little snowman. I remember my grandmother she would have like this downstairs basement that turned into a Christmas room, and she would have the Christmas tree up all year round and had a train going around the tree. And she'd have like this kitchen with like these swinging doors, and I used to always pretend to be like a waiter, and I would pretend like I'm serving everybody, like I was a waitress taking orders. I loved it. I loved being there. It was home to me, and I don't have that anymore. So that is what I see when I see this palette, as I see my childhood and I see my love for Christmas Eve and just what I got to experience. And I'm glad that we have home videos that we can look back on and laugh, but I do miss those days. And I'm hoping that sometime soon we can kind of all get together again. Maybe not at my grandmother's house, but we can get together, my aunts and uncles, and start to celebrate Christmas one way or another together, because I miss those days. I really, really do. Especially now that I'm an adult, I don't have to go to bed early. I could stay up, I could drink, I could have fun. And it's just, that's what I get with this palette. It's a Christmas Eve palette, and you have those beautiful winter blue colors in here with golds and silvers, and I just absolutely love it. And I did not expect to get emotional. I do apologize. Like I said, it's been a very difficult year, so the emotions are always right there ready to come out. But yeah, I really, really love this palette so much, and I love Christmas Eve, and this just really reminds me so much of my childhood. I have such a special place in my heart for this. So coming number 2, we do have the Eau de Night Cosmetics Christmas Eve palette. Okay. I did not mean for that to happen. I just, start talking about Christmas and I immediately get emotional. Oh my gosh. It doesn't help. Like on TikTok, they keep playing like these videos of like what Christmas used to look like in 93, 94. And they play like this one particular like sound where it's like these kids laughing, but they're like echoing and they're saying like, this is what your childhood sounded like. And like, I look at those videos and I'm like, damn, that was my childhood. And I used to wish to be an adult. And now I just wish I could be young again. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy. But anywho, moving on to the number 1 spot. This literally became my favorite Christmas palette the second I got my hands on it. There's something about it that just screams Christmas to me. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm kind of biased because of my background, but I love it so much. And this is the ColourPop Frosty the Snowman. I absolutely loved this palette when I got my hands on it. It is so beautiful. It screams winter. It screams Christmas. First, you're going to have the beautiful snowman right here, but it's the color story. The color stories just fit the aesthetics of my background, and I love this aesthetics. It's become one of my favorite aesthetics. I just love a good icy winter moment. Like I said, maybe it's because I don't get that here in Florida, so I live vicariously through like the palettes, my background. You guys with your beautiful winter homes that I'm jealous of, like this just gives me that vibe. This just reminds me so much of Christmas. I love the icy lavender blues. I love the icy blues in here, the icy whites, the icy mint teal shades, the purple lavender shades, the pink shades, the little bit of black shades. Like there's something about this that's just so beautiful, so icy, and it just screams winter to me. And that is why it is coming in at number 1 spot. Even though it's not number 1 Christmas palette, it is the number 1 winter palette in my opinion. So coming number 1, we did Frosty the Snowman from ColourPop. So those are all 25 palettes that remind me of Christmas and winter season. Let me know down below what palettes remind you guys of Christmas, or what palettes remind you of winter. Maybe I forgot some of them in my collection, or maybe you guys will inspire me to go get more throughout the year. But I do apologize for getting emotional. It was very unexpected on my end, but I just appreciate you guys letting me just be me here. So with that said, guys, that is it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please make sure you guys give this video a cheeky thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you guys have not already. So I do post 3 to 4 videos every single week. Make sure you guys head over to my other channels, R for Life. You guys get to see my cool, wonderful adventures, my amazing husband, Corey. And as always, the biggest thank you goes to these beautiful, wonderful Patreon members you guys see right here. Thank you guys so much for everything. And to my subscribers and viewers, thank you guys so much for being here. Whether you guys like this video, you guys thumbs down this video, you guys subscribed, you guys did not subscribe, either way, thank you guys so much for being here. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. So with that said, guys, I love you, and I'll see you guys in my very next video.